Americans and people of Palestine. Midas Touch Network is an example of people that pretend to be about free speech and free journalism, who also have delusions, also mixed though, too. No, but they are dishonest, and they have dishonest sources because they have dishonest sources. For example, the two speech class teachers I had people that will tell you they confess things and demonstrated things about their roles with Washington D.C. that were also timed collusions of people all along Route 175 with also former director of the FBI Robert Luskin. They didn't use his name. Increasingly, a Mike Pandoff, people tied to a Mike Pandoff, have roles on all sides of criminal and civil cases and depositions, including with people named McCord, that I never had a conversation with it, and maybe try to make it look other by planting evidences and databases, as roles with other countries with crime scenes, where they plant evidences at crime scenes because they already had to hide how they already used all sides of criminal and civil cases and the names of the courts and names at corrections offices and next to them and next to the state judicial branch offices, like Weathersfield Pizza House, is roles with a whole bunch of different natures of organized crimes with them. Intercities with New Britain, Connecticut, New Britain's Central Connecticut State University has rules with a Stephen Stocko. I never had a conversation in my life. I said, "Is Maria there?" On the phone with him one time. He called the police, and then the police called me, telling me not to call him. He's involved with some child defenders, leaders of kids, people with the Board of Education too, with overt criminal enterprises, and people near me who recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed his educators and their own involved with them own and overt criminal enterprises with grammar school kids and middle school kids attaching other kids to fake ties to themselves, and then trying to make fake exceptions in high school, and then intercities tied. And then these are people with the elderly homes too, and with programs with the elderly, and where and how everyone they have victims, hyper victims, but you try to treat them like that as it is actually managed, because that's being used remotely by the breaching method. Those differences, they're being still used as hyper predators, blaming other things, others ourselves too, for what our founders communicated to blame on the breaching method, and then making those differences pretend they can't have them, how the breaching method can be involved with our differences now when we debate. That's why it's important to pay attention, because they're changing and faking people's words. Whole wire crime acts and methods and digital crime methods efforts, and their uses of the guilt between the different police forms and their roles of people jumping into other people's conversations and changing and faking what they say as formal news locations brought up by Midas Touch YouTube channel. NBC has sources involved in Old Weathersfield, all the way through Weathersfield, through Newington, and all the way to Central Connecticut State University, of all sides of it, with people that are also next to our hospital through time. Involved also with shipping locations and locations next to them of mixed natures, who also have roles with criminally foreign influence uses of corners of streets and identity theft, fraud, slanders roles, where they even have police attaching kids to fake conversations with themselves, fake ties, fake natures of ties. And they're putting fake things in databases at campuses at the same time. There are other reasons why at the same time they have them insulated. And the breaching method, which is also replaced. They have roles replacing what America's founders communicated about the breaching method. Clearer than day, way cheaper. We could have had way better security and would have been fun for them. They would have it like a video game. Bam, and net goes over the person. In other words, so many things. This is, for example, they're locking them, and they're using a torture, extortion, slavery method roles. I think it's debatable. In other words, there are proofs of it. But you have to tell WFSB, Connecticut's Channel 3 News, I believe it's CBS. They attach me to fake conversations with themselves and with others, also with the difference of their own intelligence involved with that, or the intelligence next to them, and or people that just go by or live there. The same thing, the difference of that, or and the same thing next to Fox Connecticut News at the same time, the same ones involved with Thaddeus Grabowski, with Alison Mulcahy, two Mendez police brothers, and two named Domain. Increasingly, in recorded capacity, demonstrate confirmed involved with people with sexual and medical abuses of boys and girls in my area through time, including ones that have roles with it, and with their doctors attaching other kids to fake ties to themselves and their others. They're putting fake things in databases. They also have social people with this. And then they're defending their motivations why they have roles with on and off campuses, criminal insidiousness, confessions, and in the form of communications, also nonverbal, as confirmations that former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, for example, in a 2006 district court case, he is recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with people next to Fox Connecticut News, involved with predicate acts with the sources of WTNH, and with people next to them like the FBI, and people in sources with every campus, but from off the campuses. But then hyper additionally, as collusion/S, relative forgiveness is so we can appreciate what is actually recorded, where there are these collusions with a singular as a singular collusion too, with use of location/S. And so that's one of the things that people have been communicating about. And that's one of the things you have to communicate. That's why how really the fact treatment nature regarding suburbs from America to Russia to Ukraine, other than our founders communicated here and there about the suburbs, how they why they're manifestable like that then and now, is communicated for them. They have the communications of our founders replaced. And it is proof that a breaching method knew that there's something like called hypercriminal foreign influences, that they could instead force, check, hurt, and persuade, only remembered having been blamed on criminal foreign influences instead until that was true. And then it built on that categorically, needing to self-value roles of the breaching method, needed to hide the same illusions, needed to have people self-value the same tactical delusions that would not be black people. See the whites of eyes, none yet have, but discerned, hyper evidential. The nature of debate contains quality aspects, nature, styles, to pretend not to realize they could have roles and could have already had roles with whole predicate acts with facts methods. Even though we know that each age of fact should be nature, is what this is about, replacing what nature communicates with black and white. Using all exceptions and exception nature as criminal insidiousness nature as nature, and pretending that's nature positive. Even when, in other words, even if you're against it, because everyone's against it. In other words, denying the quality, the breaching method's uses of the subject, all subjects, your premises treatments, your Boolean logic, your roles with exceptions and exception nature as criminal insidiousness nature, or sensing, including as all groups, including as every name of a country, blaming per another name that's involved here, other things, others themselves, roles, or being sensed, and that's adapted to. Any grouping of humanity that entertains locations, areas, and states, manifest quality aspects of nature, can't counter that which really is the cause of the hypercriminal foreign influences / criminal foreign influences in nature of criminal insidiousness nature, with positive treatments, negative treatments, identity treatments, subject treatments. So the news, the different news places, multi-front, Like WFSB attached me to fake words with themselves and with others, all kinds of natures of organized crimes at the same time, including as about the World Trade Center attack. No. A Mike Pandoff is also one of the ones involved with the Washington, D.C. and with two speech class teachers I had, with names increasingly next to the world. I'm next to the Connecticut corrections offices. A Ray Colo and a Joe DeMoro recorded, confessed, demonstrate, confirm they have federal evidence of crimes with a David that lived near there or had something to do with their attempt. I never had any conversation with him. He gave me a guitar. I looked, I sat there and gave back and like they told him to do it, like an army people. He has roles with behavior racketeering and people with medical corruption next to Harvard Hospital, too, who are involved with the corrections offices and the judicial offices. And next to it are driving by. Weathersfield Pizza House has roles with the branch of government individually grouped in together, involved in intercampuses and intra-campuses, including many educators tied to a Stephen Stocko have roles with some child offenders of mixed natures. The same names are involved with elderly homes and medicine, and like how they have probate court judges and roles with their solutions, increasingly medicine, and exploiting bad effects as weapons. There are proofs today exploiting mole in the schools, even if they made that up. There was mole in the schools, and they left it out, and they pretended it was about money. See, because everyone's dishonest. See, there's supposed to be honesty with the federal, but the FBI has rules with Weathersfield town offices a bunch of ways that they don't know, but a bunch of ways that they know it's at least plausible, but they're pretending other because they have obligations to not hide and plot and change and fake what people say online. And as rules with a Michael Emmett and others with the Board of Education, there are people with the name Riley increasingly involved with sexual crimes with kids, with overt criminal enterprises and private ones. Without people are building upon roles of criminal enterprises with grammar school kids, kindergarten kids, and middle school kids that don't even know each other that had time collusions with the criminal enterprises, and people off campuses that are taking pictures of people next to each other who have roles of behavior racketeering and identity theft frauds, fake ties to doctors, to kids, and to adults, and fake and change communications with them, with everyone around them, and their family members, and how this is motivated, and how it is so categorically timed intercities and intra-cities. Is recorded. This breaching method used everyone remotely from abroad and used all the countries grouped still, suits and ties, counters, exceptions as an array. The way it needs exceptions to treat it too. Collusion as an array, as system /S tactical ulterior with all voicings for humanity. Then humanity properly positive onto itself. Only positive as criminal and serious nature. You have offensively news media that is influenced to pretend that they're about freedom of journalism, when their family members too are recorded how maintain criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions wrought by roles with the intra-cities, intercities, and intrastates and interstates, and the motivations needing recorded by relative predicate acts. All sides of criminal and civil cases, there are means recorded to observe. They are being used to plant and change, cover up how they already had collusions with all sides of criminal and civil cases. The differences of them, or the interbranch switching and putting sequence, or their family members, why, their motivations, or their neighbors, the same with all sides of the cases, and the news, the same with the names next to it. This is a use of location /S, wherein how such phenomena are manifest. Also, intelligence, the agencies know on a mass scale they recorded themselves consciously, pretending people spoke with themselves. And in those conversations that people were following them, etc. They're pretending people to mental diagnosis with tactically delusions, raw, criminally foreign influenced, a whole bunch of different countries at once, sick fakes at the medical campuses across the country, as the ones increasingly shown need to hide life progressions from the past, active and to come, so their roles with predicate acts manifest and timed use/s of them recorded at next to the campuses through time. The same ones evolve further with the principal child abuser forced. So a principal Emmett has roles with a whole bunch of other people, with a police chief Cintron and a Jessica Cintron, who should be removed from the school with her kids, and a Mazzucato family, and the people that had them in the fake and changed communications with me, and their roles with the journalists too, next to Hartford Hospital and Bob Hartford Hospital, with all kinds of intercities and intra-cities names next to campuses, planting evidences next to campuses. Like a Subby Bajerio also recorded collusion with the principal upskirt nature and ones years ago, proven first force further, including as their roles with religious spots and conjunctions to the Wethersfield judicial branch offices. Increasingly, people tied to the Wethersfield judicial branch offices have all kinds of roles with all kinds of federal evidences, crimes, and natures of identity theft, fraud, slanders, and roles of people that are acting constantly at each age of factual nature as both sides of issues, and by timing where people are going to be. That's recorded too. It has something to do with the roles at and next to all sides of the Wethersfield community, the community center, with the people on the judicial branch and corrections offices with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and foreign and domestic military, and all the names in the news. Oh, I forgot this about Palestine. So Palestine, they need injunctive reliefs distinctly from ourselves at locations A through Z. We need injunctive reliefs, which are greater than and more finite than reparations. But but reparations they are simultaneously the value of that too, though. In other words, but see, this breaching method, when people fight with each other and use each other's names, like it has you guys using words like extremism, criminally foreign, well, that as styles of logic that are criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, and collusion/s with predicate acts with facts, collusion/s with the World Trade Center attack, with how used remotely the differences of the names of the people of the sciences, including the religions, including the sports, including the military. The military is recorded increasingly how kept criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions wrought, and pretending other. So a whole bunch of people in East Hartford tied to former Governor Malloy. Please, Governor Malloy. A whole bunch of people tied to University of Maine had roles with patients and criminals, interstates and intrastates, with Hartford Hospital. Further involved with some judges and prosecutors speaking fake things in records and changing and faking digital evidences and ties to kids and their family members. Then they make fake, every exception, they use criminally foreign influence too. And they're just faking whole transcripts, forging names of doctors, and the differences of guilt too. Because both Saudi Arabia and America were used remotely effectively by the World Trade Center attack, which all these countries were already shared at next to Central Connecticut State University, increasingly involved with differences rackets with other countries and with some black KKK themed, Confederate flag themed, and other countries on off Hartford Hospital in Hartford, who have been planting identity theft frauds with people that don't even know each other, increasingly tied to mayors too, involved with criminal enterprises and private ones. And the difference of that and their roles with a whole bunch of different countries next to the campuses, who are also people, the difference of their timed use of corners of streets in Wethersfield or corners of buildings on a mass scale. So because the differences between guilt roles too, between overt criminals and private ones, the other countries, our own, like at campuses. There are whole predicate acts with facts, methods that are being and haven't been self-valued. And this breaching method knew that they would have uses of names like the branches of government, that and styles of uses of them and convictions by them, by the value of that can't defend that and afford to have discerned what which trials are about properly. because that's also simultaneously about the breaching method that was entrenched against everyone and everything, and its use of databases, identities of relativity to ourselves, plural, that that were and are to screen that one singular against A through Z. Everywhere the human species body has a body standing, sitting, resting, some rest. I tell best by dream. I just think belong.